Today we will be discussing the hairstyling industry, and we are fortunate enough to be joined by Karen Bilham. Karen has her own boutique salon in Auckland. She's been practicing for more than 30 years and has worked in over 13 different salons throughout her career. Karen will give us some invaluable information into the hairstyling industry and also the best ways to get there. Fun fact about Karen, she has over 50 pairs of shoes. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Thank you.
So the first question we always ask our guests is, what exactly do you do?
I'm a hairstylist and I now have a boutique salon.
And so could you explain a day in the life of you? Like, what is it like working in your salon?
In my salon, I would deal on an average day up to 10 clients, and my day usually starts at 9 o'clock and sometimes it will finish around 8 o'clock.
So it's a long
day.
It's
a long day. Yeah.
And did you think that when you were in high school, this was where you were going to be?
When I was in high school, to be honest, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
So like many of our viewers and listeners probably.
Yes.
So one of our fun rounds is just, what was the worst career advice you were ever given?
When I was in my training, my boss at the time actually came up to me and said I wasn't going to be a hairdresser. And the rest is history now. So
you proved them wrong.
Yes.
What were the different opportunities that you got during your hairdressing career?
In my hairdressing career, I got to work on many fashion shoots, many shows, a lot of overseas work, also charity work, and also obviously training up and coming stylists.
And for someone who is looking to start out in the hairdressing industry, what are some of the ways that they can progress through the hairstyling, their hairstyling career maybe, and get into other fields of expertise as well?
They can get into many different fields, from contract work as a stylist. They can rent a chair, they can do TV work, they can also do a lot of fashion work, makeup artist. There's many different fields they can move into.
And it all sounds quite glamorous.
Very glamorous, but very hard, and not always as glamorous as it seems.
And how long before you were confident enough to start actually cutting people's hair, but I guess coming out of your apprenticeship?
You do start cutting on real people very quickly in your career, but you're always overseen by a senior stylist, so not much can go wrong.
So what was the worst hairstyle that you've ever been asked to give?
I would have to say the mullet.
But you don't?
I definitely didn't do that.
So you talk about the glamorous aspects of hairstyling and the industry itself. What is some of your favourite parts of your career?
I would have to say working on commercials for fashion shoots and shows is probably my most favourite and fun part of the career.
And I guess, what are some of the less glamorous aspects, the harder parts?
The harder parts of the industry would be the long days, and just being on your feet all day is very hard.
So you have to wear sensible shoes?
Yes, you do.
So of your 50...
I can't say that I do that, but yes.
And what is it like having to be so customer facing all the time and having to, I guess, come up with small talk with your clients?
You kind of get a feel for people when you're working with them. There's many clients that won't want to talk at all, so they might want to just sit quietly, and then you get the very chatty ones, and you also get a lot of people that confide in you as well.
So you have to be good at keeping secrets?
Yes, yeah.
So another fun round that we have is just, what makes you weird?
What makes me weird would be I can't leave the house without making my bed.
That's fair enough. I think a lot of people are like that. And so to become a hairstylist, what is required? What are the different avenues that you can go down?
You can do a 40-week course at an academy, or you can do a 4-year apprenticeship.
And what was your what was your experience coming into your career?
My experience was I did a 4-year apprenticeship, but at that time as well it wasn't available to go into a academy course.
So that's a newer option that people
Yes.
can take.
Yeah.
And how did you find your apprenticeship?
I loved my apprenticeship, every year of it. I was very lucky to work in a very good salon that I had a lot of very good support and some great senior stylists.
Do you think it's harder to get an apprenticeship than to get into hairdressing school?
No, it's not. In actual fact, apprenticeships are starting to become more available again.
Would you say that being an apprentice as opposed to going into hairdressing school is a lot more of the less glamorous grunt work because you're young and starting out, or do they still give you opportunities to cut hair and learn?
The learning and the practical experience is exactly the same, but yes, working in a salon, probably in an apprenticeship, the day-to-day is a lot harder because you're also tending to a whole lot of seniors as well.
Would you recommend one over the other?
No, I think it's a individual preference, so it's entirely up to you. It's whatever suits you.
But from my understanding, you have to pay to go to hairdressing school and apprenticeships are free.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And so our last fun round is, what would you be doing if you weren't a hairstylist?
If I wasn't a hairstylist, I think I probably would have loved to have gone into physiotherapy.
So you should listen to our other interview with Murray then.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
So just a few last questions. What, in your opinion, are some good skills and traits that a successful hairstylist would have?
For hairdressers, they need to be very good a people person. They need to be very compassionate, and being creative would be a big help as well.
Do you have to be good with your hands to be a hairstylist?
No, you don't, but obviously that comes with the job, so that's something you learn over time.
And lastly, what are some things that people might not know about the industry?
The industry itself isn't as glamorous as people always perceive, and if you are going to go into hairdressing, you have to be prepared to work very hard, and also just be very good with people because you can come up against some really challenging things.
Have you ever had someone say to you that they didn't like their haircut and that you've had to somehow remedy it? Is that something that happens a lot?
Yes, it doesn't happen a lot because usually you will try and consult that client in the beginning so that you don't end up with that problem. But sometimes people do change their mind halfway through, and that can be very difficult.
So definitely have to have some good customer communication skills going there.
Yes.
So to finish off, we always ask if our guests can give one last piece of advice to their younger self or someone in the situation of having to choose what they want to do with their lives. So what would your piece of advice be?
My advice would be to follow your passion and be prepared to work very hard in whatever industry, but it's worth it.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.